Welcome. In this video I will show you 14 animals that became extinct in the 20th-21st century. Pyrenean ibex. The Pyrenean ibex, also called the bucardo, was one of 4 subspecies of the Spanish ibex. Endemic to the Iberian Peninsula, male ibex were known for their large curving horns. Definite reasons for their extinction are unknown, but hunting had continuously shrunk the population over the past 200 years. Experts also suggest that introduced species such as domestic goats, cattle, and horses contributed to the decline. The last bucardo, a female named Celia, was killed in 2000 after it was hit by a falling branch. Vietnamese rhino. Although the Yukon has listed the Vietnamese Javan rhino as critically endangered since 2008, experts believe this subspecies of the Javan rhinoceros is now extinct. DNA analysis of rhino dung in Vietnam's Cat Tien National Park in 2009 confirmed that only one rhino lived in this area. Experts continued to monitor this 15 to 25-year-old female until she was shot and killed in April 2010. The last known Vietnamese rhino was found with her horn removed, evidence that she was killed by poachers. It is painful that despite significant investment in Vietnamese rhino conservation, efforts failed to save this unique animal, WWF's Vietnam director Tran Thi Minh Hien told the BBC. Vietnam has lost part of its natural heritage. Formosan clouded leopard. Since 2000, scientists have been searching for the Formosan clouded leopard. The giant cats were a subspecies of the clouded leopard, endemic to Taiwan. Their decline was caused by habitat destruction and overhunting for their skins, say Yukon scientists. Clouded leopards prefer to live in closed, primary evergreen tropical rainforests in Southeast Asia, a habitat that is experiencing the world's fastest deforestation. Zoologist Jiang Po Zhen, a research fellow with the Mammalogical Society of Taiwan, is part of a team that has searched for the Formosan clouded leopards for the last 13 years. A forest with clouded leopards and a forest without clouded leopards mean something different. A forest without clouded leopards is dead, Dr. Chiang told the Taipei Times in 2013. A related subspecies of clouded leopards live in the Himalayas, but the Yukon fears they are also vulnerable to extinction. Eastern cougar, Puma concolor. The eastern subspecies, known variously as ghost cat, catamount, puma, painter, panther, mountain lion, and cougar, originally hunted from southern Canada to the tip of South America. Once the most widely distributed land mammal in the Western Hemisphere, cougars have been eliminated from about 2/3 of their original range. 2 other subspecies, western cougars and Florida panthers, still maintain breeding populations. The USFWs concluded in 2011 that there was no evidence of the eastern cougar living within its once enormous habitat. Experts suggest the cougar's decline began when European immigrants started killing the animals to protect their families and livestock. Although the eastern cougar has been declared extinct, the Florida and western subspecies populations have grown in recent decades, and some are expanding their range into their extinct cousins' terrain. Many people have seen cougars in the wild within the historical range of the eastern cougar, said Martin Miller, the Northeast Regional Chief of Endangered Species for the USFWs, in 2011. However, we believe those cougars are not the eastern cougar subspecies. We found no information to support the existence of the eastern cougar. Chinese paddlefish. Because the Chinese paddlefish lived only in the Yangtze River in China, they began a steep decline after the construction of the Gajoba Dam in 1981 in the middle of the Yangtze. The dam blocked the migration route of the Chinese paddlefish, preventing adult fishes from reaching their spawning grounds in the upper part of the river. Their long lifespan also worked against them, as their late sexual maturation meant the population would take longer to recover from a decline. Although the species has been listed as critically endangered since 1996, no individual Chinese paddlefish has been seen for over 10 years, despite repeated searches. The last recorded individuals were 2 adult females in 2003, and no young paddlefish have been seen since 1995. Although it is not confirmed, the Yukon suggests this species is extinct. Western black rhinoceros. The Yukon had listed the western black rhinoceros as critically endangered from 2000 to 2008 and officially declared the species extinct in 2011. During their searches, researchers found evidence of widespread wildlife poaching. Local rhino monitors, paid to protect the animals from poachers, were caught faking rhino footprints. Given the wildlife poaching taking place, lack of political will and conservation effort by Cameroon conservation authorities in the past, and increasing illegal demand for rhino horn and associated increased commercial rhino poaching in other range states, it is highly probable that this subspecies is now extinct, says the IUCN. Golden toad. The golden toad was endemic to the Monteverde Cloud Forest Reserve in Costa Rica. The male was a yellowish-orange color, thus giving the species its names. Females, however, were found in several colors, including red, green, and black. The golden toad was first discovered in 1964 and maintained a population size of around 1,500 until 1987. By 1989, this species had gone extinct for several reasons, including climate change, restricted range, air pollution, and the fungal disease chytridiomycosis. The golden toad is the first species that became extinct due to climate change. Pinta Island tortoise. The Pinta tortoise was thought to be extinct in the mid-1900s when its previously pristine habitat in the northern regions of the Galapagos archipelago was overrun by fishermen, and the goats they introduced to the remote island to provide fresh meat after long fishing voyages. The goats quickly overran the ecosystem, including the tortoise's sole habitat, and by 1970 an estimated 40,000 goats lived on the island. To researchers' surprise, a Hungarian scientist found a lone tortoise on Pinta Island in 1971, Lonesome George. Researchers searched Pinta and zoos across the world with the hope of finding a mate for George, but could not find any other Pinta Island tortoises. The last Pinta Island tortoise, Lonesome George, died at the Tortoise Breeding and Rearing Center in Puerto Ayora, Santa Cruz Island of the Galapagos Islands in 2012. Although George became extremely overweight while in captivity, he died in relatively good health at over 100 years old. Sicilian wolf. The Sicilian wolf, Canis lupus christaldii, Sicilian, Lupus sicilianus, is an extinct subspecies of the gray wolf that was endemic to Sicily. It was paler than the mainland Italian wolf and comparable in size to the extant Arabian wolf and extinct Japanese wolf. The subspecies reportedly went extinct due to human persecution in the 1920s, though there were several possible sightings up to the 1970s. It was identified as a distinct subspecies in 2018 through morphological examinations of the few remaining mounted specimens and skulls, as well as mitochondrial DNA analyses. Mexican grizzly bear. The Mexican grizzly bear is one of the largest mammals to have lived in Mexico. It grew to an average height of 6 feet and weighed approximately 700 pounds. It was recognized for its slightly silver fur, although some were yellowish-brown to reddish in color. Farmers considered this bear to be a danger to livestock around the beginning of the 20th century. Because of this perceived threat, the Mexican grizzly bear was trapped, poisoned, and shot. All of these actions significantly reduced its population, which was only 30 in 1960. The government of Mexico gave this bear protected status, but that did little to stop the killing. By 1969, the Mexican grizzly bear was extinct. Passenger pigeon. The first animal to become extinct during the 20th century was the passenger pigeon. This bird species was endemic to North America, where it was the most common bird with a population of between 3 and 5 billion. Records indicate that the passenger pigeon was recognized by its unique sounds, which were described as harsh and extremely loud. Indigenous peoples traditionally hunted it as a food source. After the arrival of Europeans, the passenger pigeon was marketed as an affordable meat alternative. Increased hunting and deforestation led to its eventual extinction in 1914. Caspian tiger. The Caspian tiger was a Panthera tigris population native to eastern Turkey, northern Iran, Mesopotamia, the Caucasus around the Caspian Sea, Central Asia to northern Afghanistan, and the Xinjiang region in western China. Until the Middle Ages, it was also present in Ukraine and southern Russia. It inhabited sparse forests and riverine corridors in this region until the 1970s. It was one of the biggest cats that have ever lived on Earth. This subspecies was declared extinct by the IUCN in 2003. By 1920s, Caspian tigers disappeared from Xinjiang's Tarim River basin. The last officially documented sighting came in 1958 near Afghanistan border. In 1960s, they disappeared from the Manasi River basin. The last sighting from the lower reaches of Amu Darya River came in Aral Sea region came in 1968. Results of a phylogeographic analysis evinces that the Caspian and Siberian tiger populations shared a common continuous geographic distribution until the early 19th century. Some Caspian tigers were intermediate in size between Siberian and Bengal tigers. It was also called Balkhish tiger, Hyrcanian tiger, Turanian tiger, and Mazandaran tiger. Barbary lion. The Barbary lion was native to the Atlas Mountain region of North Africa. It is considered one of the biggest lion species to have existed. The Barbary lion grew to lengths of between 7 feet 9 inches and 9 feet 2 inches. This species weighed anywhere from 600 to 660 pounds. This lion species was once used to fight gladiators in the Roman Colosseum. It first suffered population losses in the mid-1800s when humans began hunting it for payment. It was popular as both a hotel and circus attraction. Additionally, this lion species was prized for its long mane, which extended over the shoulders and to the stomach. The Barbary lion became extinct in the wild in 1942. Thylacine. The thylacine, binomial name Thylacinus cynocephalus, also commonly known as the Tasmanian tiger or Tasmanian wolf, is an extinct carnivorous marsupial that was native to the Australian mainland and the islands of Tasmania and New Guinea. They had almost died out on the Australian mainland from around 2,000 years ago, most likely because of the introduction of dingoes or due to climate change. Prior to European settlement, around 5,000 remained in the wild on Tasmania. Beginning in the 19th century, they were perceived as a threat to the livestock of farmers and bounty hunting was introduced. The last known of its species died in 1936 at Hobart Zoo in Tasmania. The thylacine is widespread in popular culture and is a cultural icon in Australia. The thylacine was known as the Tasmanian tiger because it displayed dark transverse stripes that radiated from the top of its back, and it was known as the Tasmanian wolf because it had the general appearance of a medium to large size canid. The name thylacine is derived from thylaikos meaning pouch and meaning pertaining to, and refers to the marsupial pouch. Both genders had a pouch. The females used theirs for rearing young and the males used theirs as a protective sheath, covering the external reproductive organs. It also had a stiff tail and could open its jaws to an unusual extent. The thylacine was an apex predator, though exactly how large its prey had been is disputed. Its closest living relatives are the other members of Dasyuromorphia, including the Tasmanian devil. The thylacine had died out on New Guinea and very few were left on the Australian mainland before European settlement of the continent. Intensive hunting on Tasmania is generally blamed for its extinction, but other contributing factors were disease, the introduction of and competition with dingoes, human encroachment into its habitat and climate change. The remains of the last known thylacine were discovered at the Tasmanian Museum and Art Gallery in 2022. Since extinction there have been numerous searches and reported sightings of live animals, none of which have been confirmed. The thylacine has been used extensively as a symbol of Tasmania. The animal is featured on the official coat of arms of Tasmania. On 7th of September, the date in 1936 on which the last known thylacine died, National Threatened Species Day is commemorated in Australia. Universities, museums and other institutions across the world research the animal. Its whole genome sequence has been mapped and there are efforts to clone and bring them back to life. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please subscribe to my channel. Don't forget, Super All.